So I'll start with the news reporter who asked Joe Biden how the storm victims are being helped. His first words were, "What storm are you talking about?" And then he said, "They're getting everything they need. They're very happy across the board." So Fox News asked Florida Governor DeSantis for his response to Biden's comment, and DeSantis said, "The reports I'm getting, that's just not true. People are desperate. We learned a long time ago that we don't rely on FEMA to do any of that type of activity, meaning the preparation, rescue, and response to hurricane victims." The truth is all over social media as people who actually went through the storm are telling their stories. On the YouTube channel Yak Motley, in a video titled "They Are Lying to You About the Hurricane Helene Disaster," we learn from North Carolina residents that they were told by FEMA that they are too tied up at the border to send any more representatives. If that isn't a slap in the face. Private individuals with private planes and helicopters are flying in supplies and FEMA is not helping, one woman said. I heard it said that FEMA they spent that money on illegals, the FEMA fund. So there's no money left in that emergency fund to help the residents of North Carolina. I don't know how true that is, but I would definitely believe it. We heard from a truck driver that normally a disaster situation is payday for truckers. But he said there are no loads coming within 125 miles of Asheville, North Carolina. No FEMA-directed loads going to Asheville, and he said that days after the storm, maybe even a week after. He said normally there are trucks filled with generators, bulldozers, tree trimming equipment, water pumps, etc. None of that is happening. Now back to the money that was spent on illegals. Our government gave $66 billion to illegal immigrants in 2023, $5.8 billion for food stamps, $10 billion for their health care, and the list goes on. What are the victims of Hurricane Helene getting from our government? $750 each if you qualify. Our government also gave $50 billion to foreign aid in 2024. They sent that much money to help foreign countries, and that is on top of the $106 billion that they sent to Ukraine since the war began. If you vote for 4 more years of this insanity, then you also have a serious problem with your cranial thought processing, just like Biden. This gets worse. Not only is our government failing to help the hurricane victims, there are reports coming from multiple sources that FEMA is seizing the aid that's coming in, arresting people who are bringing that aid, preventing helicopters carrying aid from landing, and blocking off roads, which is basically denying access to the victims that need help. Elon Musk reported on X that FEMA is not allowing helicopters to land to deliver critical supplies to the devastated areas in North Carolina. Even search and rescue drones are being restricted. People have called 911 to report bodies in their front yard. Now, people have speculated that this is the reason why certain roads have been blocked. They don't want the news crews to see how many dead bodies have piled up. Elon Musk and Matt Gaetz have accused FEMA of seizing aid and stalling Starlink deliveries to hurricane victims, and that was reported on X. There are also accusations that this was a man-made storm. Weather modification is very real. It's been going on for years, possibly decades. Chemtrails are real. We are not the only country modifying the weather by spraying hazardous materials into the atmosphere. This can be easily researched. Go on X and follow Tara Bull and scroll down her posts until you find a photo of a woman dressed in red. She's a whistleblower. She's a 9-year Air Force veteran, and she shares the truth about weather modification. She worked in bioenvironmental engineering, and she came to realize the insanity of what they were doing, which she was a part of because she approved the chemicals. So she got out of that position, and now she's spilling the truth. And a quote from her, All the climate change we need to worry about is man-made climate engineering, also known as geoengineering. Now here's something really crazy. There's a video going around X. You might have seen it. A woman asked Alexa, did the government use cloud seeding for Hurricane Helene? And Alexa replies, yes. And then she goes on to explain that it was done to lower the value of the land and reduce the amount of compensation that would have to be paid out. And she even gave it an official name, Project Cirrus. Cirrus. So that's the name of the project, of the cloud seeding that was done to create Storm Helene. Project Cirrus. There's a YouTube video on Redacted, and it is titled, Is the U.S. Government Controlling Hurricane Milton? You might want to check that out. Hurricane Milton, I believe, is supposed to hit Florida tomorrow at some time. And that sounds like it's going to be a bad storm as well. So I've got more for you. Why would our government create a storm that destroyed these areas of our country? Now, I've heard two speculations about this. One is it's a voter suppression operation. Another that it's a land grab. The YouTube channel Real America's Voice explains the possible voter suppression operation in a video titled The Government Doesn't Care About Them. And in that video, he says it's not just about ruining the towns. It's about letting those towns wither. Then the vote doesn't come in, and then Kamala Harris wins Georgia and North Carolina because the votes don't come in. The storm affected more than 20 counties, very large area. Elon Musk said on X that they are transporting large numbers of illegals into swing states. In fact, there have been triple-digit increases in all swing states, triple-digit increases of illegals in all swing states, and that would very much affect the outcome of an election. And the suspicious things that make me wonder about the land grab, that was mentioned in Yak Motley video. On YouTube, he said, we're seeing wholesalers and corporations come in asking to buy their properties for pennies on the dollar. And that is to the landowners whose properties were destroyed in North Carolina. So he asked, why do they want to be there? He said the ore in the North Carolina mountains is worth a crazy amount of money. And then he showed a map of where all the quartz, iron, lithium, marble, copper, gold, silver, gemstones, tin, limestone, mica, and more. Showed a map of where all that is located in North Carolina. He said there's a big market for the area of Asheville and just north, west, and east of it. These mountains are worth a fortune, and he encouraged landowners not to sell their land to these wholesalers and these corporations. In a second video by Yak Motley on YouTube that was posted on Monday, titled The Hidden Truths of Hurricane Helene Relief Efforts, there were several people talking on that video. One woman said you can smell the bodies at certain places along the river. There are bodies up in trees, she said. Body parts crushed in debris. And it will be a very long time before we find all these people. A second woman said we have people trapped in these Appalachian mountains for 7 days now. East Tennessee and western North Carolina is 1,000 times worse than the news has made it out to be. This death toll will blow Katrina out of the water. They don't have enough body bags. They've already filled thousands, she said. And the last comment came from a full-time firefighter. This was posted on X. He said, I worry for Asheville Fire Department. The day of the flooding, we all watched people float down the French Broad, never to be seen again. These bodies won't be found soon, and their remains will show up months, if not years, down the road. FEMA has done barely anything to help. There is no unified command to search and recovery. I've worked this storm since day one, and this will surpass Katrina in every way. We need the public to understand the severity of how bad it really is. And then you have Joe Biden saying they're getting everything they need. They're very happy across the board. On a side note, if you want to hear information regarding the accusations that our government is seizing donated supplies, a man posted a video on TikTok, which he calls an airport and asks why. I'm not a TikToker. My daughter sent me this video. But he called the airport and he asked why all the supplies coming in are being seized. And in that video, the man in charge of the airport admits that they did receive state-level orders to seize the supplies coming in that are meant to help the hurricane victims. So before I close, one thing I strongly encourage you to do is watch the first 20 minutes of Live with Julie at Julie Green Ministries on Rumble. She proves that Helene is a land grab. She proves that they're controlling the weather. She proves that Maui was a land grab. And if you want to learn just how evil our government leaders are, watch that video. God is very angry, and you should be too. I'm going to end on a good note here. If you want to see ex-military guys, good guys, rescuing stranded people desperate for help after the storm, follow Foxy Farmer on X. It will restore your faith in humanity. There is evil at work, but there is also a lot of good. So stay encouraged, and I'll see you next video.